Beats. Introducing the BK Lounge Podcast, a Burt's Beat Studios production. And now your hosts, Burt and Kenny.
Welcome in.
What's going on, everybody?
I don't even think my mic's on.
Your mic's probably not on.
Now it's on. Now my mic is on. We're kind of. I'm a little frantic right now.
It's not a we thing. You almost said that. It's not.
I'm a little frantic right now. Started it on the wrong channel. Didn't have the audio playing for the intro. Not a good start to 2025 for the BK Lounge. Thanks to Burt.
I wouldn't say that, but I just think that you came into tonight a little bit unprepared.
A little bit unprepared. It's true.
We won't hold it against you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I won't. The people won't. Maybe some of
nobody
them.
Won't.
No,
nobody won't.
No.
Nobody won't. Okay, that's fine.
I don't think so. We did just come from the car dealership. He was frantic there.
Very frantic.
Frantic when we got home.
Yep. Like, just started pulling triggers and shouldn't have been pulling triggers and had to kind of take a couple steps back.
He got the look.
I got the look.
He did get the look. Like, sir, hello.
Yeah. We reeled it. I reeled it back. We got back into.
He was like, never mind.
Yeah, why don't you have her hold off on that for a second?
And then I was like, let's have a conversation before we start saying yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah.
In between, I said, let's converse between you and I, and then we'll reassess the, situation.
Like you guys know, and Kenny also knows, I'm very impulsive.
Yes.
There's not much. I don't usually take a lot of time to think about things. I'm like, okay, we got it. Let's just go. Figure it out later.
Yep. And that's exactly what he did, literally.
Yeah.
The numbers were put in front of us. What if we do this? And she's like, okay, then you guys will leave with it tonight. And he was like, yep, bring out the paperwork. And I literally gave him one eyebrow up underneath my hat. And I was like, rephrase.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe we should, actually, you know what, have her slow down. Kenny's VW is up to get swapped out. She leases her VW. So we're looking at getting her something else. And we found something that we like, and I went a little too quick with it. I threw something out to her. I didn't think that was going to be possible to the sales manager. Shout out VW. I know the salesman is listening. Great guy. Loved it. We appreciate you.
Hendricks Volkswagen in Concord, North Carolina.
Shout out to them.
They're great people.
Yep, but I kind of threw a little curveball at her. I said, if you can do this to get to that, I know it might sound crazy. And she goes, yep, that sounds crazy. And she said, I'll make it happen. If I can make it happen, will you guys leave with it? And I was like, yep, go. And she got up and walked away. I looked over at Kenny, got the eyebrow, looked at our salesman. I was like, you know what? Maybe just have her hold off for a second. And so we held off.
He walked away.
Yep.
The salesman walked away. And I looked at him. I said, let's reel it in here. We have X dollar amount on a Jeep payment. We have an X dollar amount on a boat payment, and we are getting ourselves into another payment that is higher than what I am paying right now.
Right.
So
on top of,
rather than going down,
right,
we are starting to go up.
Right. So we got to make some changes.
In hindsight, in the future, we would like to buy a home.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to pay a mortgage just on all of our toys.
Right.
So I said, let's think about that before we say, let's just add it on to our monthly bills. And he was like, yes, I understand where you're coming from. And we moved forward from there.
Yep.
We did put a deposit on a vehicle.
Yep.
So that after tonight's podcast is we're going to sit down.
Crunch some numbers.
We're going to look at some numbers. We're going to look at some scenarios. And we're going to make a
logical, not impulsive decision.
Send it because you agreed to the crazy thing that I said.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
And it's a car that Kenny really wants, and I really want to get you be able to have the things that we want.
Yep.
And so it was like, do it, we'll figure it out. I'm not worried, let's go. Without having the conversations.
Correct.
And we need to have those conversations, and we're going to have them tonight after the podcast. But, welcome in.
Welcome in.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Oh.
2025.
Remember.
Episode 7.
7.
Remember what?
My mic is at 5, yours is at 1.
I just felt like we started off the podcast a little quiet, and I wanted to make sure that people were listening.
They're excited. 2025, the BK Lounge, it's going to be a big year. We have big goals. We have all of the things. And we're going to talk about it tonight.
Yep.
We're going to talk about it, and we
Missed
hope
you guys.
We hope that you guys had a good, safe New Year.
Yes.
We did. Very safe. We went to bed at 9 o'clock.
We did. And we'll get into our New Year's Eve night.
But
that we will.
Let's recap. I normally recap
You
our
do.
last week. How about you recap?
She got to it before I could. Last episode.
Mr. Frantic.
Mr. Frantic. Heyo. We talked about our Christmas time, our trip to Vermont, how we had a crazy drive up. We had some nasty weather, slowed us down, took the wrong route. Another Burt fault there. Family time with both of our families during the Christmas week. Got sick during that Christmas week. Came back very sick. 1-day trip became a 2-day trip just because we were gassed, sick, not feeling it. Some of the gifts that we got each other. We're still not a fan of FedEx. Nobody from the FedEx industry or company has reached out to us to release a statement. Not really sure what they're waiting on.
Fraudulent activity. I still hate FedEx. I don't care what anybody says. And I stand by that. I'm still angry. I talk about it at least once a day since it's happened. I'm angry. Just letting you know.
FedEx, all I'm saying is when she gets angry, get out of the way and you better figure it out quick.
Yep. So.
Yep.
That's all I have to say on the part for the recap.
Yep. But that was kind of the quick summary of our last episode, right before the new year. Mm-hmm. Right after Christmas.
Correct.
Our New Year's, I feel like we should kind of go into New Year's first, and then maybe what we did last night.
Yeah?
Chronological
order?
Yeah.
Okay. So our New Year's.
New Year's.
We both worked.
We did. I streamed. Kenny had to go into the club.
Yep. I had inventory with my team on New Year's Eve.
Yep.
Which, last one of the year, to the boys, we did a good job. It's stressful. It's stressful for me because I'm the one receiving product at the club. So a lot of those numbers need to match what I have done. So it's based off of my work, but also a big part of what they do.
Right.
Because they're the ones selling the product.
Yeah.
I don't get too much face time on the floor. They do a lot of it. So it's a team effort when it comes to inventory time. And we actually hit some really good numbers to end the year. So I'm very happy and proud of our team.
Love that.
But when New Year's Eve came around, I finished my inventory with my guys and
At a great hour, too. And granted, you guys did start earlier. Because normally when she does inventory, they don't start until the club closes.
Correct. Which is like 6 o'clock at night.
Right. And then the inventory process started. And then there's times where she doesn't get home until like, I think the latest you ever got home was like, what, 1:30? 3. Yeah, 3. Insane. But they closed early for the New Year's Eve, knocked out inventory, came home. She was still sick. I was still sick. We're still sick. We still don't feel great. But New Year's Eve, we were extremely sick. I put in an order early at a Mexican restaurant around the corner that we really, really like. So she came home, kind of hung around the house, ended up getting dinner, and what else did we do? Oh, we played that game, didn't we? Is that when we got our first, when we got that game? I always forget the name of it.
We got Mario Party on
the Switch.
I don't think that was the first night we did.
I think it was. Yeah, because I had to get something for my computer and I got the SD card for the Switch.
Yeah, so we played Mario, the new Mario game. We kind of just were lazy on the couch. Literally didn't turn on the TV, didn't turn on like the ball drop.
Nothing.
Nope. We ate our Mexican food, played a couple games, and then straight to bed.
9 o'clock, in bed, passed out. And then again, another New Year's thing, I have never lived even close to a city, and we're about 20-ish minutes from the city. Someone wants to know our Mexican order.
It's Bobby.
It is Bobby.
Yeah, shout out to Bobby.
Bobby, we love you. Thank you for that subscription. And before we go any further, thank you for everybody for all these new follows, all the new subscriptions, the gifted subscriptions, the resubscriptions. We really appreciate all the love and support for the BK Lounge y'all have showed so far, and we can't thank you enough. So shout out to each and every one of you, the followership, the gifters, the cheers, all that great stuff. So we appreciate you. And
for anybody that doesn't know Bobby and hasn't checked out his channel, make sure you do so.
Yes.
He thinks I'm fake. He doesn't think I'm a real person.
Yep.
He's also an Ole Miss fan.
Yep.
And I actually told Nick the other day, because if anybody was watching the game, I was like, Ole Miss was winning. They were up by 2 touchdowns, I think.
So, yeah.
And I was like, just text Bobby and say, go Duke.
And I didn't, because I knew Bobby would say something like, you don't know what you're talking about.
You don't even know where Duke is.
Right.
And it's in your new home state.
Right. But no, thank you to everybody. Thank you to Bobby.
What do we order for our order?
I never know what I get. It's pretty much just like chicken drenched in like cheese sauce, refried beans, rice. We get a street corn to share. That is my order.
And when you say it out loud, it
sounds disgusting.
That is like the most gluttonous Gomer order.
Okay.
Not in like, I'm no offense, but like when you say it out loud, it doesn't look as disgusting.
No, I think it looks pretty gnarly when you open it up.
I don't really look at it much.
Yeah,
I usually get tacos.
It's just a pile. I love it.
Yeah, I usually get tacos, but I got the mixed fajitas.
Mixed fajitas. Yep. She's usually, like I said, usually a taco gal. Sounds like a kid's meal. Okay. Anywho, yeah. So that was our New Year's. And then part of kind of we talked about last episode with our Christmas gifts in the new year, Kenny had gotten us tickets for a comedian in Charlotte, and that is where we had our first date before I moved down and was coming down to visit quite a bit.
That was like our first date as like not friends.
Right.
Romance.
Yeah, the romance was there. Wined and dined her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had a Mick Ultra.
Which is your beverage of choice.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, she loves Mickey's.
We went to Trevor Wallace.
Yeah, we saw Trevor Wallace.
For anybody that knows him, he's big on TikTok, social media. He was on MTV. He's kind of done some of that stuff, but
he had a Netflix special. Was big on Vine. Mm-hmm. So he's an internet guy. He's very funny. But we also went to dinner before. Mm-hmm. At I feel like I say it wrong. Crunkleton. So
anybody in the Charlotte, North Carolina region, Crunkleton it's fine dining, but they have a Michelin star. They're booked out weeks.
Yeah.
Like weeks on end. And I've been dying to go there. And it's like, you go there for like nicer occasions, special occasions. But like at the end of the day, I was like, we have been saying that we want to do it. They do brunch and then they do dinner.
Right.
And they're like open certain days of the week. They're like closed random days. Like they're closed Friday. They're closed Friday night. But then they're open Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
So like that to me is weird. But they have a Michelin star, so I've been trying, and this was my gift to him. So I wanted to make sure that we went somewheres where we didn't have to argue about where we're going to go to eat.
Yeah, because we do that.
Because it's like we're asking each other, and then we end up going to a food hall, which is always great, but it's like, it's not like nice.
Right.
And like we're more busy of like picking what we want to eat rather than like enjoying each other.
Right.
But I've been trying for weeks, and then same day I called them as they opened, and she was just like, call us at like 5 o'clock and get on the wait list. And I was like, okay. And I ended up getting a reservation across the street at another one of like our favorite restaurants. So we were calling, and the girl was like, yeah, it's going to be like an hour and a half. And I was like, okay. And we're on a time crunch because we're going to this comedian.
Right, 8:45. And this was around 5 o'clock when she called.
And I was like, I'll do anything to eat at this place.
Yeah, we were very excited. We've been talking about it. She's been talking about it. We've been trying to find time to go, but never really have. And then kind of with this gift and kind of going back to where we kind of started our relationship of like, Kenny wanted to go somewhere nice and like make it special, and that's what it was. It was an awesome place.
Yeah. And so when we pulled into the parking garage, they sent us a message saying, your table's ready. And I was like, thank goodness.
Yeah, and it was quicker than we thought too. It was only like 45 minutes.
Yeah. So we ended up going in. We sat at the bar.
Yep.
And it was awesome.
It was great.
We spent like 2 hours there.
We had duck flautas.
Flautas, yeah.
I said it right. We had duck flautas for an appetizer. Didn't know what they were until they came, and they were delicious.
I explained them in like redneck terms. It's a taquito.
Yeah.
Like you get the big box at like Costco or Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were great. They were delicious.
Yeah.
Had a little heat to them. I actually enjoyed the heat. It was nice. And then I had, excuse me, I had a delicious center cut from a ribeye with Parmesan risotto.
Very good.
Very good. Very, very good.
And I had chicken piccata.
A Mediterranean
chicken piccata.
chicken piccata,
Yep.
which was very good.
It was delicious, yeah.
Yeah.
But then we had dessert.
We had dessert. We usually, when I say we usually don't get dessert, I usually get dessert. Kenny usually doesn't.
Yeah.
It was the restaurant was super cool. They had over 300 different types of liquors. Some of the liquors going back to like 1930s. It was very, very cool. Mm-hmm. But we did get dessert. I got banana bread pudding.
Banana bread pudding.
But there was no pudding. It was just bread.
Correct, but that's just what the title was.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like more pudding-like, and it was just like slices of a very, very nice banana bread. It was delicious. Wasn't expecting it, but it was still delicious.
And I went very southern and had myself a pecan pie.
Yeah, I'm not a big pecan pie guy. I also feel like pecan pie is kind of like something that would be served at like an old folks' home.
Yeah, and banana pudding isn't.
Okay, well,
banana pudding is one of his favorite desserts. I think it's the most repulsive thing that anybody could consume.
I have probably had genuinely 2 to 3 gallons of banana pudding since I've been down here, and I love every second of it.
Ugh.
It is so good.
It is nasty.
You want to know a little secret?
You get banana pudding 3 times a week, and I have no idea.
No, sometimes when I go to the grocery store, which isn't often, they have those little single servings, and I grab one and hammer it when I get home.
And you hide it.
I don't hide it. I throw it away. I don't.
Oh, how was your day? How was grocery shopping? What'd you do? Nothing.
I went grocery shopping.
Has the breath of vanilla wafer on him.
No, I love banana pudding. It's so good. But no, pecan pie, not my thing. My mom loves it. I always heckle her about it. But the pecan pie they had was actually very good.
And they had a homemade, like, caramel ice cream.
On top, yeah. Big old chunk of ice cream. It was delicious.
It was
very
good. And I, like, don't get dessert.
Right.
I do not do that.
Never.
So.
Never.
But no, we went to a very nice dinner. So if anybody is looking to wine and dine anybody in the Charlotte area, highly recommend Crunkleton.
Yes.
Highly recommend.
Is it pronounced? Someone's asking. Again, for the people who listen on Apple or Spotify, we film this live every Sunday on our Twitch page, and we have viewers interacting with us throughout the stream. Brittany has asked, is it pecan or pecan?
I call it pecan.
I think, can I call my mom right now and ask what she says?
I mean, you're more than welcome.
I think she says, we're going to get Mama Riley on here real quick.
Yep, everybody stand by.
She's probably not going to answer.
No.
She's probably playing Candy Crush, watching a soap.
And she's going to dive into having more of a conversation.
Right.
So, like, quick, hey, we're live, just letting you know.
Right.
And she's not going to answer.
Oh.
Hi, you reached
Nope.
the voice.
Nope, not there. I think she says pecan.
That's so weird.
I think that's what she says.
It's pecan to me, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I also think it's pecan.
To anybody that calls it pecan, live your life.
Right.
No judgment.
Right. But that was our first date night of 2025.
Yep.
Bringing it back to our first date that we've had. Because I think back to when we were...
You thought we were dating way before.
No, I didn't think we were dating.
Yeah.
I thought we were going on dates.
No.
Yeah. But we don't need to get into that because I'll cry. But yeah, first date of the new year. Bringing it back to our first one. Pecan. I'm messing myself up.
And you're getting too flabbergasted. But
I am.
We did go to Trevor Wallace, and it was at the Comedy Zone. It's a small little area. It's like it's honestly like a basement.
Yeah.
But he was very funny. And we'll get into what our resolutions are and why we think these things. But last night we had this conversation on our way home because he was interactive. He's funny. He's like a little vulgar.
Right.
But like that's his market.
That's what he does on the web, so it's not like anything new.
Everything that he does when he posts on social media or whatever he does was exactly who he was last night.
Right.
But he went around and there's people and their biggest thing is like, don't heckle. Like you shouldn't heckle because it ruins it for everybody. And it also is not part of what they're trying to do.
Right. Like don't say things if you're not being talked to by the performer. And like at the Comedy Zone, there's like almost like a little horseshoe that goes around the front that usually the comedian interacts with constantly and not people way in the back or whatever else. Those are like VIP seating. There's lights on them so that the comedian can see them, and that's who usually they're interacting with. But there was this lady, like back where we were like in the middle section, and there was this lady, and we kind of talked about her a little bit before the show even started because she was very loud.
Yeah.
Like I'm a loud guy, but in public I'm not like screaming our conversation. I have some awareness.
Yeah.
But she was just so freaking loud.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh geez, like this should be interesting.
And like you could hear her laugh over the laughs when he was telling his jokes.
Right.
And at that point, I'm like, now you're just doing too much. And like whenever he would ask people questions, like he doesn't really want to know people's answers. It's more of just like
rhetorical almost.
Yeah. And she would make sure that she was the loudest in the room.
Very loud. Like wants to be seen, wants to interact. Like we get it. People want to interact. Like there was a guy up front in the area where people usually interact, and he was like forcing the interactions. And it's like, why are you doing that? Just let the show happen. If he looks at it and he's like, oh, like what do you do for work, buddy? That's when you interact. Like it drives me crazy of like how people just scream out throughout a comedy show. But she was very, very annoying. Correct. And he even kind of, I think, was getting annoyed with it.
Yeah. He like had his back to her, which was also towards us the whole time, probably to just avoid.
I think so. I don't blame him. Because again, he's trying to do his thing and someone's like forcing themselves into his skit.
Right. And the biggest thing that stood out to us is towards the end. It was probably like 10 minutes. Like we had already paid for our drinks and did all of that. Like our server came around and this lady was just like interacted with him and he was like, okay. And she was like, you're not really.
She's like, you're different in person.
Yeah, you're different in person. And he was like, good or bad? And she was like, in a sold out crowd.
Yeah.
And he's like, what?
Yeah.
And it threw him off. And he came back and I won't.
Yeah, he said some pretty crazy things.
He said some crazy stuff, which power to him. Yeah. I would too.
Oh, absolutely. Like you're gonna come to my show. You're gonna pay me money. Well, because she was like, oh, I don't want to hurt your feelings. And his response was like, I already have your money. I don't care what you have to say.
Yeah, he was like, you paid to see me.
Right.
I really don't give a shit.
And the rest of the crowd kind of got on her like, what are you doing? Like people were booing her and like clapping when he said some of the things that he did. And it just comes back to the point of like, why are you screaming and interacting with a comedian like that? And
he was like, I have 20 million followers. You paid me. I have an Amazon special. I've been on MTV and I have a successful career. What do you have to say about yourself?
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I don't care what you have to think.
I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And like we got back in the car and I'm like, I couldn't imagine that. Like I couldn't imagine that. And I also couldn't imagine being somebody to say that.
Right. To be like genuinely disrespectful.
To somebody's face.
Right.
It's crazy to me that people are that mean.
Or so self-centered. Like, you paid for a show. You obviously, if you didn't know him, you can't go into there with expectations.
No.
Clearly, you knew who he was from the internet. And then you're going to go there. Okay, if you didn't have a good time, you don't need to call out the comedian.
Right.
Like, okay, never go to a Trevor Wallace show again.
It's the same thing with, like, concerts. There's people that they're great on the radio. You like their songs. You go see them in person, and you're like, you don't sound the same, but that doesn't mean I hate you.
Right.
I don't hate your music. But it's just like, you have no idea what goes into it.
Right.
She has no idea. Like, he has 6 shows in 3 days.
Right.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
He has 6 shows in 3 days. And he, like, it's not your place to say something like that.
Right.
And that drives me nuts.
And it was definitely like an attention getter, like, oh, look at me, I'm interacting with a comedian. Like Bobby just said in the chat, they wouldn't say that to him if it was one-on-one, in an alley, in passing. Like, nobody
Right.
talks like that. It's just for the attention. Same thing with that super loud girl.
Right.
She was like, she was kind of a hot mess. She was all over like her boyfriend, and she was loud, and people all around us were like, really?
But I really don't, and like we've talked about it a little bit here and there, and we're going to get into our resolutions and really what our brand means and how we live our lives. But even this past week, like you've been having some computer issues.
Yep.
And before it all like rose to being an actual issue, is you had somebody on your TikTok, on your live stream, heckling you.
Yeah.
For what you do.
Right. Like, oh, have you done anything productive today? Oh, have you touched grass? There's so many other better things you could be doing with your time. And I'm not one to like chirp back at somebody. I used to. But now it's like I kind of use it as like a, hey, let's chat. Yes, exactly. That is exactly who it is. But I'm like, okay, like, what do you mean by that? Why do you think this is so unproductive? This is actually my job. I try to educate, let people know. And some people will say things, and I'll talk through it with them. And they're like, oh, okay, you know what? That's my bad. This is pretty cool. However, this guy is always coming in, sending some weird things, rude things, and I try to interact with him. And whenever I would like respectfully interact with him, he wouldn't really say anything.
Right.
And he always keep coming back and like saying random things. And it's just like...
But like there's no reason for like the trolls.
Right. And
like there's no reason for that. And like and we said it a couple weeks ago when we talked about community.
Yeah.
And like I think about it and I'm like, if you are so well put together, if you have a job that makes you touch grass, if you have all of these things, what are you doing with your life other than trolling the internet to talk shit?
Right. You want to come talk about productivity with me, yet you're on TikTok live heckling someone. Have you done something productive today?
Or like, have you done your research because you and the rest of your community just donated thousands of dollars and thousands of bikes to kids in need?
Right.
And you're trolling around talking smack and you probably haven't had human interaction in weeks.
Right. And it's just
and
like...
it gets me hot and bothered about it. I get so angry. Because, like, even last night, I'm like, I'm so angry. Like, why are people like that?
Yeah, I don't get it. It's weird.
And it's like they hide behind a screen.
Right.
You think you're so big.
And the crazy part is my staff team has banned him numerous times and comes back with a different account. Like, you are so invested in telling me that I have better things I could be doing. I need to go outside. I'm not productive. That you get banned. Make another account to come back in. So again, who really doesn't have a life? Who's not being productive? Is this you being productive? Is this your job?
Right.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand it. I don't understand it. People are strange, and again, the internet is a terrible place at times, and this kind of rolls into our resolutions and what we're about. But I always say if we can make the internet even just a little bit better of a place in the BB channel, the BK Lounge, using TARP, using, our platform, using our friends to, again, just make the internet a little bit better of a place where there's no toxicity, there's no hate, there's no stupidity. It's people having a good time, respecting one another, and doing good for other people, then let's freaking do it. Like,
Correct.
It's not hard.
Correct.
Like, it's not hard. And for people, again, to come into different channels with whatever bullshit reason they have, or vendetta or hate, whether they weren't accepted in the community or they got banned, like, you live and you learn. As Kenny says, you build a bridge and you get over it.
Yeah. Correct. Put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Put it on a hat.
That might be some new merch. A bridge, build a bridge and get over it.
Literally. Build a bridge and get over it.
There you go. It's just, I don't understand it. I don't understand people, but 2025 resolutions, let's chat.
Yeah, you want to go first? And we'll start it this way. What do you think about resolutions?
I think resolutions are cheesy and a cop-out for people to motivate themselves to do the things that they need to do.
You're a fraud because you knew I was going to say that.
We can have the same opinion.
You didn't say that this morning.
I don't have resolutions.
You don't have resolutions.
Yeah, I think people just use it as a crutch.
Yeah. That's my same opinion. We talked about it this morning.
Yeah.
But I believe in resolutions. I don't think a New Year's resolution is always the best way to handle it. And that's kind of my personal opinion is like, be better always.
Right.
Is like, do what you can to be better. And, it's the same. And I am all for everybody getting healthy. I'm for healthier lifestyles, healthier choices, things of that sort. But at the same time, I don't think that you need to start one of one to be healthier.
Right.
I think that when you are ready, when you're in the headspace, if you're in the place financially, emotionally, like all of it, you need to be in the right place to make those decisions to be better.
Right. And now you're saying, oh, it's a new year. Now I'm all of a sudden ready to do this.
Correct. And it's like, what did you do the night before?
Right. Why couldn't you do what you were trying to do the day before, the week before, the month before?
Correct.
And again, some people need that push where it's like, okay, it's a new year. I really need to buckle down.
Absolutely.
Get in, get after it, and live your life. But people who are like, oh yeah, it's September and, I'm going to, for the new year, I'm going to do this. It's like, well, why are you in September not working towards doing that sooner than waiting for a specific date? That's like the old, I start my diet on Monday.
Right.
Well, it's only Tuesday, so why can't you start it today instead of waiting 5 days?
And I'll put myself on blast because I am the person that you can't give me a date for me to get to it and then I'm like, you're right, that's the date I'm going to just stop. For a little over a year, I was vaping.
Yeah, she was blowing O's.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
But I vaped. I like the nicotine, the function of doing it, all of it, like it just became a habit. I can't tell you why I started anything like that, but it's been 2.5 months.
Yep.
And I've had 0 nicotine and I cut cold turkey, stopped doing it. And I was like, I don't need a new year. I don't need this. In this moment, I want to feel better. I want to get remotivated. I want to be better for myself. And there was no occasion. There was nothing that happened. And that's how I work is people do like the 75 hard. I did the 75 hard and I did it in the middle of summer when I lived in Florida.
I remember that.
And that was miserable, but I didn't need a date. I didn't need that. And some people do, and I praise anybody that truly wants a healthier lifestyle.
Right, whether it's the fact of actually doing it. Like,
Correct.
Good on you. If you need to wait for a new year to get after it and you're actually going to do it, awesome.
Correct. And like
More power to you.
Some people are very successful, but I know like a handful of people that are notoriously like, the beginning of the year, this is what I'm going to do, and then never do it. And then you're just disappointing yourself.
Right.
But like for me, and like I'm just one person and not everybody's like that, but it's the same thing with people that do dry January.
Right.
Okay, what happens February 1?
Boozing.
You're going to booze like you never done before.
Yep.
And you did it on New Year's Eve.
Right.
It's just like I appreciate the people that do it because you're noticing that maybe you need a break and whatever, and then you just get back into your normal lifestyle. But why?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, live your life. Live your life. You want to do a month, you want to do a day, whatever.
Right.
But again, we're kind of more like the classic, like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym. January 1st, people are at the gym. January 22nd, they are no longer going to the gym.
Right.
And it's like, did you really need to wait? Was that just like I don't know. Everyone's got their own things. Some people are into vision boards. Some people are into manifesting. Some people are into New Year's resolutions.
But I do believe like resolutions should be at any point, and that's why like today we did want to talk about like what we stand for, because at the end of the day, if anybody's going to support you guys in anything that you want, it's going to be us.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because it's never a matter of being like, oh, like we listen to you guys, we want this, but we're just not confident, we're not comfortable, and like
Right.
we're not going to be like, you're a loser, you're doing New Year's resolutions. No, like good for you. If that's what you
Tell
need.
us what works. We want to know.
Yeah.
Like somebody just said that they stopped smoking. They've been cigarette free for 4 months. That's awesome. That's freaking amazing.
Correct.
I love that for you. And you didn't like wait until a new year. You got in and after it 4 months ago. Absolutely phenomenal. Love that.
And like you did it in August. Like you probably didn't need a reason.
Right.
And you did it.
You just got after it.
And that's like the same thing for what I did is there was no specific reason. And a year, there was a reason because I stopped doing it a year. I ran half a marathon here in Charlotte. And that same week was the week that I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I ran 13.1 miles a year from today. And what am I doing? I'm just chiefing on a vape, like... And like, if you do it, like I get it. I did the same thing, and do I still think about it? Absolutely. But I was like, you couldn't run a mile if you tried right now, and your lungs would probably give out. So I was like, it's time. It's time. You've had your fun. You've had your year. It's becoming a terrible habit because I was doing it morning, at work, nonstop at work. At home, we'd go on the boat, I'd be in the car. It was just a second function.
And it was funny because last night at Trevor Wallace, he talked about vaping. And like he wants, again, it was part of his bit, like he's like, I want to get addicted to vaping. And he's like, I want to wake up, or he like talks about like, oh, you ever dated someone who vapes? And like the first thing in the morning you hear is, and I started laughing my ass off because there were so many mornings that I would wake up and hear the little of Kenny's vape, or in bed right before I go to sleep, rolled over, and I hear it.
It's like the neon lights on
the one wall lights up because the brick has all these crazy lights on it. Like, it was just funny.
But no, and like, that's just one thing that I did, and I'm better when I'm in the moment, like, oh, I need to have like my last fast food because tomorrow I'm starting a diet. It's like, no, I'm gonna wake up and be like, today's the day that I start eating healthier. This is the day that I do this. This is the day I do that. I can't anticipate it because then I build it up, and then when I fail, it's a bigger disappointment. And the goal's never to fail, right? But
yeah, like all the boys back home, all of them got off Zyn. I was the only one that was Zinning.
Yeah.
I Zyn. I blame Jocelyn. She got me hooked on it at work one day because all my friends were doing it. I was like, let me try it.
Right.
I never smoked cigarettes. I smoked cigars overseas, but never was a cigarette smoker, never vaped. And yeah, now I Zyn.
So, and everybody has their thing. And if you're smoking cigarettes, if you do cigars, if you drink, like everybody, you either do nothing, you do something. And if there's anything that we can do to help you, if you're really thinking about not doing it,
yeah.
we're here to support you.
Or like if someone recently got off Zyns and was like, hey, this is what it made me feel. Tell me. Maybe I will get off Zyns. I don't know. I got on them to help with like different things, believe it or not. I felt like I had more energy. I felt like I had more focus. When I first started, it was an appetite suppressant. I was actually losing weight. And then once you get used to them, it's just like, meh, that doesn't happen anymore.
Right. And you kind of get a little skinny.
Yeah.
It suppresses your hunger.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I got skinny, because of the Zyns. We went shopping and I got new jeans and I'm actually down a size. I might even be able to have gotten down 2 sizes.
Do you want me to be honest with you?
What?
I don't think that's why you've lost weight.
Oh, why?
I think because you're not cooking for yourself.
So you're saying my poor diet, getting onto a regular diet with good cooked food since I've moved, is why I'm skinny.
Yes.
Got it. I guess the ham steaks and the chicken patties.
And the microwave mashed potatoes.
And
the tub of hell of a good French onion dip.
Oh, God. Let me swim in it. Okay. I guess I could see the correlation.
The Dunkin' Donuts breakfasts.
Ooh,
the bagels.
Yep.
Going out to lunch every single day.
Yeah. Well, see, I was going to put Joss on blast and say, like, she's the reason we'd always go out to lunch, but it really wasn't. She'd be like, oh, I've got...
she wasn't with you.
Seaweed crisps and rice for lunch. And I'm like, that's stupid. I know you love pizza. Let's go get pizza. And she's like, really? And then we'd go get pizza.
And Joss was deployed for a year before he moved down here. So that's not the reason why either. You can't blame everybody.
No, and again, I can't.
You can thank the people.
I can. It was me. I was There were a few times where I'm like, Joss, I actually brought something from home.
No, you did
Yes,
not.
there were a couple of times where it was Joss's idea and I didn't eat whatever I brought. That is factual, not lying.
And you said no.
No, I said, okay, let's go. But I was saying Joss was the one that was like, hey, let's go get pizza. And I'm like, but I brought something from home. And then she was like, but we can get pizza. Or we can go to Chipotle. Or we can go here. And I'm like, okay, I'll eat it tomorrow. Never ate it.
No.
No.
I remember there was one time you were... There was one time and you were telling me, and this wasn't even the past year, it was before. I think I was still in Florida. And you were like, yeah, like I've been eating really healthy. I brought my lunch. I ate it early. But I think I'm going to go to the food hall. I talked to you after you went to the food hall. And you know what you got?
What?
It's just a big slice of cake. And then you're like, yeah, just a little something. And I'm like, it's a slice.
Yeah, well, it was kind of
cake.
like dessert.
No.
I had my lunch early, and instead of getting a whole other lunch, I just got a little miniature cake for myself. That is actually one of my guilty pleasures from when I lived alone. There were some nights, I lived right across the street from the grocery store, is I'd be like, you know what, I'm craving cake. And I'd go get a cake, and I would bring it back, and I'd have a slice, and I'd eat a cake for the rest of
The week.
the week.
Oh, I know, because you did that before you and I lived together. So
Yeah.
he's been doing this for almost over 6 years.
Yeah, and now the crazy part is, a lot of these grocery stores are selling individual pieces of cake. Like, if that's not marketing, that is genius. Whoever...
They did that at Shaw's before I moved.
Oh, well, I was buying the whole cakes.
He was buying the whole cake. That's insanity.
Yeah, and now, we look back at random photos of, like, just random times of, like, when I got promoted to Master Sergeant, or, like, my blues photo. My dad actually said, he's like, whoa, your head looks like a pumpkin in that photo. And I'm like, shit, Dad, okay, heard. And then when I got promoted, I just looked puffy. I looked like a thick gummy bear. Like an old, nasty gummy bear.
That you find, like, under the seat of your car.
Yeah, it's got some dirt and, like...
Ugh.
Yeah, that's what I looked like. It wasn't a great time for me during that either. But no, I have lost some weight. People have noticed, like when I go back to Vermont, like even my family. But people are like, oh, you look skinny. And I'm
Is
like,
she starving you?
Yeah. I was like, no, I'm just eating normal foods.
Yeah, you're
Nothing
not...
super frozen, nothing DoorDashed. Oh, God. DoorDash was awful.
So, I would say that's it. I wouldn't thank
It wasn't the Zins.
I wouldn't thank the Zins for that.
Well, that was going to be the reason I stayed on Zins, because they made me skinny, so I guess I can't do that anymore.
Yes. So, no. Healthier lifestyle. We're for it. We're with you. We appreciate it, but you don't need the first of the year to do it.
Yeah, Joss is also calling me out. He would eat his lunch at 9:30 a.m. Okay,
Yeah.
well, Joss, if you remember right, there were some mornings we didn't go get breakfast sandwiches. And breakfast is the most important meal. So if I have to eat a ham steak at 9:30 a.m. with mashed potatoes and frozen corn,
Oh my God. That is
man's
just...
got to eat. I was going to say we were busy on base and we needed the fuel, but I was a desk jockey,
Don't feed into it, Joss. You know, she knows.
I think we should get, maybe in an upcoming week, get Joss and Kimmy on. I
Yeah.
think that'd be great.
We're going to see them in a couple weeks.
We are. We're
month or two.
Kenny's got to go back to Texas for the PGA. So we're going to go down either a little early or stay a little late and hang out with Joss and Kim in Texas. And we're very excited about that. We're also trying to plan a fall trip somewhere tropical.
Joss is turning 30.
30.
The old bag.
Yeah, old bag.
Old bag. I got a year and a half. Don't look at me. You're past being an old bag.
Okay. Old bag Burt.
Old bag Burt. Yep.
Outrageous. Anywho, back to our resolutions.
Yep.
Kind of talking about what we stand for, and like a lot of times, you guys, if you're coming from the Burt's Beat channel, for the longest time, I kind of gotten out of the habit of doing it, but at the end of every stream, I always said, be good. I always said, be good. And there's actually a giant neon sign on the wall across from us, and it says, #BeGood. And I always took that and used that as like, if we can, again, always just trying to make the internet a little bit better of a place, not being toxic, being there for one another, helping each other out, but also like just being a good person. Because you never know what somebody's going through, whether you're going to the grocery store or you're going to a comedy club or you're going to dinner. You never know what kind of day someone is having. And if you can just be a good human, whether it's saying hello, asking them how they're doing, maybe someone just needs to talk. Maybe it's an old lady. I love to talk to old people. I love talking to old people, especially old women. I love to flirt with them. I love talking to old people. And old people love to talk. So it's like, if I can talk to this old person who maybe just needs to chat because they live alone or they live in a home or whatever it is, why not do it?
Mm-hmm.
Open the door for somebody. Say, hey, how you doing? Talk to somebody.
It's just overall being better, like being better humans. It's not even just about the internet. It's just,
Absolutely.
you know, just be a good human in, out, around your life. It doesn't matter. Is you truly have no idea what people are going through.
Right.
And there could be people that are on the opposite of, whatever it is. If you think that they're a prick, if you think that they're arrogant, stuff like that, is you don't know. You
Right.
don't know why they're like that.
Yeah.
And they may have all the money in the world, but they could be the most miserable human and the loneliest human you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at what point. Is at the end of the day, we are all humans.
Right.
So the whole point is to be good, because if we just continue to spread negativity, toxicity, all of that we'll never find the good.
Right. Never. Never. And again, sometimes we as individuals think we're doing things right or think we're being good, but the way we're interacting or the way we're talking or the words that we're using aren't.
Correct.
And so there's plenty of times, especially over this last 8 months to a year, I've had to kind of take a look at myself of how I interact with you or how I try to get points across that I think I'm doing a great job at doing to get the point across and lower, whether it's tension, whether it's a conversation, whatever it is, and I'm not doing the things that I need to get those points across in a respectful, not necessarily respectful as I was being disrespectful, but just ways we can be better.
Correct. And as much as we think that, a New Year's resolution in our eyes, not everybody's, in our eyes, it's like a little bit tacky, a little bit corny. But we are also taking the new year for ourselves as a couple.
Yep.
As, our life of having a business and having everything that we do is, this past year has been hard for us.
Yeah. In a lot of different ways. Together and separate, like individually and together. Correct.
And we've had a lot of firsts. We've had a lot of, figuring each other out, figuring out a relationship, figuring out, our friendship, and just like transferring everything into what it is now.
Right.
And even like we had a lot of time when we were driving to just talk.
Mm-hmm.
But even when we got back and, some of the conversations and like letting them out and, our frustrations and all of that, but we both told each other that like we need to connect. And like this new year, our whole goal is to just reconnect with each other.
Right.
And
kind of focus on us.
Yeah, focus on us. And that doesn't mean that like we need to do all of these different things, but where we were before is we were worried so much about things that we shouldn't worry about. Is like we have goals. We have places that we want to be, that we want to go financially, professionally, personally.
Right.
All of these things, and we were not putting ourselves in the spot to achieve them, and it was frustrating us as individuals and us as a couple. So really what we are hoping to do in the new year is just find ways to connect together.
Right, and kind of take a second and have impactful conversations and actions to be better together.
Correct.
Because again, like I said, from the beginning of this podcast, you guys are going to know things about us and what we're going through. We've never been in a spot where it's like, this is so terrible, we're upside down, this isn't going to work, nothing like that. But again, our relationship didn't start like the average relationship did. Mm-hmm. So we've been adjusting, we've been learning, we've been trying to understand each other better. And there's a lot of times where we each need to look in the mirror and be like, okay, how can I do something different to help this situation or conversation or future understanding and connections?
Right, because we've had years of a friendship.
Right.
So like our banter in moments where like it didn't really pierce the skin as much as what it might be now.
Right.
Especially if one of us is in a vulnerable spot or if our relationship's in a vulnerable spot.
Yeah.
It's like we need to be able to recognize it, and that's something that we are both understanding and getting better at, I would
absolutely.
say. But like even in the past, we're on day 5 of the new year, and we've left the house to do something as a couple twice.
Right.
And before is like we were on opposite ends. We were kind of like reacting to each other rather than interacting with each other, because I would have a long day at work and then he would stream in the evening, and then we would use our day off to just decompress and be vegetables on our couch.
Right.
And
which some days we need and we're going to do.
correct. And but like recently, like we've had things that we've planned for each other, but like we're not leaving the house and like depleting ourselves. Is like we're actually leaving the house and doing things that fill our cups back up.
Right.
Especially as a couple.
Right. Kind of disconnect and literally just focus on us, because there's so much going on in her life as an individual, as a professional. There's a lot going on in my life as a, person, as a professional. And sometimes that can be very challenging at the end of the day when we're both home to actually connect. And again, that takes the time of both of us taking a step back, trying to understand better, trying to interact better, and really making those impactful choices to make that connection better.
Yeah, that was big.
That was big. That was a lot. So you guys are getting the scoop.
But I mean, we don't sit here and try and like hide it by any means, and
No.
like we're not sitting here and saying our relationship is all roses and daisies, because it's not.
Right.
It's not. And we have hard times and we have hard days, and at the end of the day is we're both adjusting to our like new lives,
Yep.
especially together. But we do a lot, like our frustration comes from a place of love rather than like anger.
Right, because neither of us are doing things that are like ill intent, wrong, inappropriate, disrespectful, nothing of that line. It's just like the frustration, like you said.
Yeah, it's just like a buildup of emotions. And because like our individual lives when it comes to our professions are very, very different.
Yeah.
And like we've talked about it a lot here, and we'll always say it, is like, you're at home working, streaming, you work from home, this is your element.
Right.
And you have no like face-to-face human interaction. You react to the people watching you and all of that, but like you aren't sitting here like you and I are sitting here having a conversation.
Right, because it's very different. And like again, I talk for 2 to 3 hours straight.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be very different if I was talking to someone or people for 2 to 3 hours straight. It's very different. It's very similar, but it's very different at the same time.
Right, because you have 3 hours, you interact with the people that are watching you and stuff like that, but at the end of the 3 hours is you turn them off.
Right.
And you get a moment of silence. You get a moment to, rethink, plan for your next stream.
Right.
Do all of the things that you need to do. And I work in an industry where I'm doing the opposite, is I never get to mute.
Right.
Is like I wake up and I'm doing it until the moment I go to sleep.
Right.
And there's never an off button,
Right.
especially in my position. And like, it's fine, but...
And it comes with the territory, and you get that, but
Right.
it's also like our trip upcoming. We're going to Florida to see a hockey game of our two teams, and it's going to be a great time for us to kind of just disconnect both from streaming and the golf industry and just kind of, again, focus on us. She kind of asked, like, what are we going to do the other days that the hockey game isn't? And I was like, explore and just hang out. Like, do what we want to do.
Right. So, I mean, we're figuring it out, but that's a big thing of what we're kind of going in as a couple into 2025. And to be honest, for anybody that's in a relationship, it doesn't matter if it's a new relationship, old relationship, like whatever it is sometimes you have to rethink like how you guys are connecting.
Yeah.
And that is something like, even if we are young and stuff like that, is we've known each other for a long time, and even we can recognize that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
just-
that's one thing that we're very good at, is kind of taking a second to realize different things.
And like find something that is new and enjoyable to you and your relationship. And that could be just going for a drive. Go and look at, we're past that time, but like go and look at Christmas lights. Go and drive through a park. Like go for a walk. Do do something. Like there's mornings where like we're both like we don't want to do anything, but we need to do something, and we'll go for a long walk.
Yeah.
And sometimes we won't even bring our dogs.
Yeah.
As we just go together and we'll talk and we'll walk and we'll do whatever, but
Yep.
it allows us to not have the pressure of like our phones, what our dogs are doing, our house is dirty, the dishes need to be done. It's like we just need to turn something off.
Right.
Just to focus on each other.
Yep.
And everybody can use it.
Yeah. What would you say in 2025 are your personal and professional goals?
I definitely personal goals, I would say I don't know. I think a personal goal for me, I definitely want to finish and it goes hand in hand with personal and professional, but I want to finish my PGA.
Yep.
I want to be a Class A professional. But I think that I want to get to a point where I'm getting close to reconsidering going back to school for my master's. I think that's like a very big personal goal for me, and that might be not just for this year, but it might be for like maybe my 3-year goals. But I haven't been able to truly think about that since I graduated college.
Right.
In
because you've been go since
2019.
Right.
So before I hit my 10-year mark, I definitely want to truly think about going back to school for my master's in sports psychology.
Okay, I like that.
But short-term personal goals, I think I want to start running again. We talked about it a little bit yesterday.
Yep.
And kind of got my juices flowing in that sense, but I think that I want to progressively maybe just like work my way into like doing a 5K, a 10K, but I want to do them for something. I don't want to just run them like I did when I was training for the marathon.
Yep.
And I think that goes hand in hand with kind of giving back, like we've talked about.
Absolutely.
Is run maybe, even if it's a 5K a month.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty crazy goal too.
I'm doing 12 5Ks this year. You imagine?
That's a lot.
I mean, it's only 3.5 miles.
Right, but still, I think that's a lot.
That is a lot. So, and then professionally, outside of my golf career, I want our podcast to grow.
Yeah.
We hit 500 downloads last week.
Yeah.
So I want our following to increase, not just social media, but viewership, downloads, all of that. And I want it to kind of just spread and find its way to kind of blossom. I don't have a specific path for it.
Right.
But
I think organically, I think we're growing. It's its own beast, and we're lucky to kind of have our own social medias that are helping out. But, kind of branching off to that, y'all share the podcast, send it to someone that, a friend, a family member, a coworker that might enjoy hanging out with us on Sundays. We'd love, new faces, maybe not from the golf industry and not from the streaming world, that maybe don't know anything about Kenny and I, and they enjoy it, they can connect with it, and, just share the word of the BK Lounge.
Yeah, and follow us on Instagram and share our posts, share our reels. Our reels are getting a lot of traction.
Like over 1,000 views and stuff.
Yeah, so like on average, they're getting about 1,000 views on our reels, but throw those like buttons, repost it, do all of that because it matters.
Yeah, it helps us. Helps the podcast grow outside of you all sharing it and us sharing it as well. And
so in watching that, it makes it worth it for us because it means that you guys are watching it and listening to it, and as much as we do it for ourselves, as we want to, if we can help in any way.
Yeah, we want to have a purpose with you all too.
So, and write into us.
Yeah.
And I think that I'll also probably create more of like a write-in platform on our social media.
That's a good idea.
So that it's not just Discord, because people in the streaming world and on the Twitch side of things understand Discord, but maybe the listeners that just listen on, our YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all of that, they don't really understand that side of things. So
absolutely.
Maybe that's where I'll grow. What about you?
Personally, I want to be more open. I want to be more open when it comes to relationships, whether it be, my family, my friends, you and I want to continue to work on what I have been working on over the last 6 months and just being more open and understanding of you, of my friends, of my family, interacting more with them. I don't stay connected like I should with my friends, with my family. And that's something that I've been working on and I want to continue to work on and build off of because, again, if you can't look yourself in the mirror and make changes when tough conversations happen or issues arise, whether it's a romantic relationship, a family relationship, a friend relationship, then what's the good in that? So I think that's what I want to do personally. Professionally, with the Burt's Beat Studios name and the BK Lounge, just I want it to keep growing. I want to meet new people. I want to hear everyone's stories. I want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. Whether it's things that could be better on the stream, things that they love on the stream, more interaction that the viewership can get involved with. Same thing with the BK Lounge, like what we're doing good, what people find boring. Like we want to know these things, and some things we might not change because it's good for us, but we also want to know.
Yeah.
So email us, follow us on social media, in Discord, whatever it may be. But that's kind of where I'm at for 2025.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I want to say no a lot more.
You want to say no a lot more? Okay.
And I mean that more professionally.
Yep.
Because I'm very much like a yes girl. And I do that. That's very much who I am. Is I have a really hard time saying no.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when I feel like somebody needs me or I can be any, service to anybody.
Yep.
So learning how to say no, especially when it comes to myself, because at the end of the day, that plays a toll on anybody's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And feeling like you are unaccomplishing so much because you're so drained
Yep.
and so depleted because you don't know how to say no.
Right.
Is something I'm very much guilty for. And I'm sure that a lot of you can understand and relate because I can imagine I'm not the only one.
Right.
But being able to take a step back and say no for my own self.
I like that.
Is
That's
because your work's going to be there when you get back to it. And like you said, reaching out to your family is I talk to my family a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I could be better with my friends. I definitely think that prioritizing time with my friends is something that I have allowed to slip because I've been so savvy to my job. But I think we both can take a piece from each other on that.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. But with that, we kept a few minutes at the end of the podcast for some interaction with our live Twitch viewership. So if you all have any questions, if you want to air out your New Year's resolutions, if you have questions for us, please let us hear it.
I also want to say, before we get into that, we'll start writing in, but FedEx Steve wrote in, first time chatter. Today is going to be my second year as a FedEx driver. It was busy during the holidays, and all of me and the other employees were mad at the strikes that it was going on with Amazon because we are getting paid lower wages instead of higher wages.
Interesting.
Preach. Appreciate you, Steve.
Yep. Thank you for the hard work, Steve.
And if you see somebody with a brand new pair of Tacova boots and a brand new TaylorMade putter in hand, I want you to do me a solid and throw whatever package you have in your hand at that person. Because I'm not blaming all of you, but
Somebody's got to be held accountable.
Somebody has to be held accountable. It's not you, Steve, because I don't think that you deliver in the area that it was stolen. I would hope not. If you're at the Monroe FedEx, then you and I have beef, but I don't think you are. But I appreciate the insight. I'm still mad. Still angry.
I understand. It's understandable.
Hey.
Rene says if you come back to Texas, are we meeting? I think that's towards you.
Me and Rene?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to get drinks. We're going to get dinner.
I like that.
We're going to be hanging out.
I like that. Biddy says, Kenny join Rene and her in Red Dead roleplay.
The guy at Volkswagen today even was like, you going to start streaming? And I was like,
he asked Kenny if she was going to start streaming. I love that.
No. Maybe. I don't know about all that. I don't know how to work all these gadgets in this computer. I let him do that. I do the social media, grammatically, and literacy, and all of that. I am better, so I try and write those things.
Yep.
So.
What else we got? Bert, is your shirt green or blue? Because it looks like it's changing. It is green. I think the neons are having some effect on it. This was also one of the gifts Kenny got me. A nice sweatshirt with the BB logo and her country club on the sleeve. Love that combo. Love that combo.
Somebody said, when's the wedding?
I was waiting for her to address that one and not me.
Thank you for the question. Next question, please.
Oh my gosh. Oh, another one came in. Shamrock, when are you guys getting married?
Wow.
When the time is right.
Yeah, when the time's right.
Do we both
What?
Do we both know that we're going to be married and spend the rest of our lives together? You go first.
What?
I'm saying, are we on the same page of this is our plan?
Yes. This is our plan, everybody. So
What's our plan?
we will eventually one day get married.
And?
Spend our life together.
Nice. It was a little forced, but hey, that's a W in the books.
No, that's
books.
why we're doing this. If I thought that it wasn't the case, we would not be sitting here in this room doing this if we didn't think that. Because then we wouldn't be relatable. We would be frauds. And we would be liars.
And like we talked about on one of the previous podcasts, we kind of had the conversation. I kind of brought it up of like, hey, if we're doing this, like this is it. Like we're going to work through stuff. We're not like, I have zero intentions of ever dating again after this.
Yeah.
And it was like, yep, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
She's with me. You heard it here first, folks. Bert, did you see I put about my 4 months of soda-free, month and a half of being anxiety and depression and bad thoughts free. Long hauler, love that for you, man. Kenny and I are both big mental health folks, and love to hear that for you, my guy. Keep after it. You know, Kenny and I are here if you ever need anything. Any last questions? Because if not, we're going to get out of here, and we're going to go crunch some numbers and make a logical, not rational decision about getting Kenny a new car.
You have been jonesing.
Jonesing for what?
To start talking about that. Mr. Impulsive is ready to make some decisions, and he's waiting for his weight, which is me, to give a little bit.
Kenny is looking at a VW Jetta GLI.
Correct.
That is what she's looking at.
So right now I have a Tiguan, which is a mid-size, the R line, so a little bit sportier package. But we're looking to downsize one of our vehicles, and mine is up first. So I will get the smaller vehicle, but this car is actually unbelievable.
Yeah, it's actually very nice. It's very nice. We looked at a Tiguan first, and we were like, oh, we actually like this a lot. Like, it's the same car.
It's literally
just
the
newer,
same car.
Different color, same everything on the inside. I'm like, oh, this actually looks really nice. And I was kind of giving the sales guy some props of like, hey, brother, like, good on you for like showing us the bigger, more expensive car first, because I was thinking like, well, if we're going to look at a Jetta after looking at a Tiguan, we're not going to want the Jetta.
Correct.
And then the Jetta shows up, and we're both like, holy shit, this is actually very nice.
Yeah, he put that thing in reverse and backed it in. I was like,
It's this nice, like, light blue gray color.
Yeah.
And, like, the seats are two-toned. They look super awesome.
Yeah. But no, it's a beautiful car. It is expensive. And it is right at the line of the cap of what we said that we were going to pay. And that was his negotiating that he did, was he got to that number with X amount down. And she was like, okay, we'll do it tonight. And I was like...
Yeah, because I had asked her, I was like, hey, I'm going to ask you something crazy. Because she was like, well, you know, we always like to say, if we can do this, then we'll do that. Is there something that we can do to get you from here to there? And I said, yep, you can take this price for this down payment, which was much lower.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like... And she's like, yep, that is pretty crazy. And she's like, hemming and hawing, and she's like, yep, I can do it. If I can do this tonight, we walk out with it. And I wasn't expecting her to be able to do it. because it was a very, very large chunk difference from down payment. And that's why I kind of threw it out there as like a Hail Mary, not expecting her to say yes. And then she said yes, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, we'll do it. And she got up and walked away, and yeah.
And like they very much like sat down.
Took the time.
Yeah, they shot the shit with us for quite a bit.
Very, very personable. Again, Hendricks, VW, Concord, North Carolina, highly recommend.
And no, we sat down and we talked and whatever, and when he said that and I gave him the one eyebrow and I looked at him and I'm like, are you fucking crazy? And he was like, oh, no, yeah, and I was like, that's like, what, like, you just said yes. You and I have not had this conversation. Let's reel it in here a second.
Yep. We reeled it in. Conversations tonight. And
I didn't put him on blast, especially with them, but I broke it down to them with him there. And I said, this is our payment for this. This is our payment for this. This is our payment for this.
2/3 of those are Nick and his toys.
And I said, these are his toys. This is my toy. He doesn't get to make that decision. I get to make that decision. And she was like, yes, ma'am. I said, we'll put a hold on it. We'll put a deposit on it tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow. And she was just like, okay. And I looked at him, and I'm like, okay.
It was right at the top of the budget, so I thought we were golden. But we didn't have the conversation, and we should have.
Yeah, we need to have those conversations. Yep. We'll be better in 2025, maybe 2026. And
yep. We'll get so much better. So much better. Someone actually wrote in, Nick will forever be a Jeep guy. I have a very nice Grand Cherokee L Summit that I am paying ungodly amount of money for because I was a single guy, wanted the nicest, newest Jeep, got it. Again, in a relationship now, trying to make financial decisions on what we want and how to get there. And one of the things that is coming up, and we'll have to do very soon, is also downgrade the Jeep. We want something full size. We want something that we've got room for, that's comfortable to travel in, but we need something more affordable because the Jeep is just not affordable. So whether it's a lower tier Jeep, we're also looking at trucks for around the house, for the boat, for the future house. It's on the docket. And I, as most of you know, I'm a new car every year kind of guy, and this is the first time in a long time that I haven't gotten rid of my car literally on the anniversary date. So I'm getting better financially. I was always an impulsive guy. Even Kenny gave me the props on the way home of, you are getting better. Love that for you.
That was a close call.
Yeah, close call on doing old things. But no, we're looking at, like Silverados, GMCs.
And it might not be time for a truck yet because if we're both going to be getting new vehicles in the next 30 days, then we'll probably not have the highest payment so that we can save money. And then when it's time for us to get a house,
right,
and we've saved some money together, we will make those decisions.
We'll figure it all out.
And if the podcast blows up and we go on tour and we do all that stuff. Yeah, we're doing
our own specials. Share the podcast.
Download it. Click the links.
But no, we got a lot of great stuff coming up, both personally, professionally, relationship-wise, and we're very, very thankful to have each and every one of you a part of our lives, both from the Burt's Beat channel to the BK Lounge to our social medias. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you. But we are going to get on out of here for the evening. Happy Sunday. Happy New Year. Any last thoughts, Kenneth?
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. Y'all be good. We'll see you next time now.
This has been the BK Lounge Podcast with Burt and Kenny. We hope you enjoyed your time diving deep in on wild topics, listening to crazy stories, and hanging out with us. We'll see you next week live on Twitch. Be sure to check out our website for all our social links at www.thebkloungepod.com. Y'all be good now, and we'll see you next time.